So just give me a second so I can close mine. Great. Okay, let's start. Good morning, Patricia.
Good morning, Jimmy.
How
Good
are
to see
you?
you.
Great to meet you. How are things?
I'm good. Thank you. Excited to have this conversation with you. As I told you, I'm in London currently, and I'll be back next week as well
Perfect.
for focal events, but all good on my side.
Great, great, great. Well, good to meet you. We only have about 15 minutes, so let's get going. I think the objective of this call, so I've seen your deck, but for me, given that we only have 15 minutes, it would be great to maybe just start with your backstory, how you got to the idea of Willow, the vision for that, and then I have some more specific questions around product and go-to-market. And then at the end of the call, we can maybe reserve some time for your funding strategy and where you are with the round. But let's maybe start with your backstory and how you got to the concept of Willow.
Okay, super. I also have some slides in the back in case we need them.
Perfect. I think, yeah, let's try to keep it conversational. And then if you just have the slides so we can walk through them, that would be great.
Super. Okay, then backstory. What is this problem that we're targeting? So in the end, the big question that me and my co-founder are dealing with is, how do you want to be remembered? And it's a question that everyone at a certain point in their lives will deal with this big question. How did we get to it? So I have to admit, it was not my idea. It was Adam's idea. And he always, he's French, and he always tells this lovely story. The French have beautiful cemeteries. And I don't know whether you know Père Lachaise.
No.
Beautiful one in the center of Paris. Edith Piaf and a lot of famous people are also buried there. And he was having a walk through this cemetery, and he saw the scripting on one of the gravestones that said, "Mother and rebel until the end." And he thought to himself, wow, I would like to want people to, more and more about me. And that's how he actually got into digging into the problem. And of course, the thing with, the one of the main parts about our problem is that's relatable to everyone. I've lost my grandmother a couple of years ago. My co-founder lost his uncle, who passed away far too soon and left a daughter who barely knows him. And he always felt it's so unfair because everyone else knows her dad much better than he does. And he wanted to create a tool or a product that can help her understand better what that beautiful person that her dad was like.
Wow, that's a beautiful story, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, even myself. So where did you? So I guess that's the backstory of what you wanted to create, and where did you kind of start ideating what the product should look like, and maybe it would be good to make the segue into sort of the product, sort of where it is today, what the roadmap really is, and ultimately what the vision is, right? So what is it really that you want to create in terms of this digital product?
Yeah.
And if you want to use the slides, feel free to do so as well.
Actually, I think it's good like this.
Perfect.
How did we start to get into this product? So actually, I have to say, Adam already worked on it quite a while ago while he did his MBA at INSEAD. And here he worked together with a team. They already conducted a lot of interviews. They talked to a lot of funeral homes. So me and Adam were just friends back then. Well, actually, we didn't even know each other back then, and we became friends later, and we never wanted to start a business together. Just happened, I guess. But when I joined the team, what we did is, first of all, we talked to over 150 families. Because as you know, we work B2B2C, meaning one of our stakeholders is, of course, the family who buy the product in the end. We talked to over 150 families to ask them, how was it for you when you lost that person? How was the process organizing the funeral? What problems did you encounter there? How did you feel about it? What could help you? So that was on the one hand, ticking off the customer side. And then what was very important to me with my business background, I thought, we cannot go into this before we haven't spoken to the people who will actually sell it, the people who know this market the best. And those are the funeral homes. So what we did was actually quite a bold move. We went with a little presentation and we went to all the biggest players in this market. I know I always have to say that also when we bring out our partner slide, because, and I get it, investors are not very aware or informed about this huge market. It's huge. It's incredibly resilient. and it's been ripe for innovation and neglected for some time now.
Hmm.
So we went to funeral homes and we said, is this a problem that you see? How do you solve it now? How could we help you? This is our idea. Does that make sense to you? And what we started there and then, is with some of the biggest ones, particularly Himmelblau and FUNCAP. We started partnerships and we set up workshops to go through them. What are the features that we should develop in the beginning? What else do you see is important? And we have very, very close relationships working with these partners to bring the product to the market. And here we go into the second part of your question. So what we have now is a Figma prototype. We have a POC that shows particularly the voice-enabled part of our product, because it is so important. And it also already leads into the WhatsApp extension, another super fundamental aspect of our product to make it most accessible to users and not to provide too many barriers for them to engage.
Can we because I think that's all very insightful and useful. But can we maybe just can you open the product slide so that we can just really sort of understand what the product is, how people engage with it, what the interaction is that they have with the product? Because I think the go-to-market strategy with the funeral home sounds super clever, but I think it's important to kind of understand the product vision and the different features you have there.
There we go. Now we see it. Okay. So again, maybe very quickly, what's important about our product is that it's therapeutic, because we develop the questions in the background together with psychologists, because grief is an important topic and you cannot ask all questions in all cases of a loss, and also not at different times. Second, it's collaborative, therefore very time efficient. If I tell the story or my own life story, it will take me a long time. As soon as 3 other people join, minimize the time and also maximizes the comprehensive overlook that you have. It's voice enabled and therefore easy to use. So what do? First of all, we leverage AI to guide the close family and friends who bought the product through a personalized set of questions. Like this, we collect data such as biographic data, pictures, and little anecdotes. From this data input, we structure and automatically structure. This is very important because these people are overwhelmed. They don't have the time. They don't want a white canvas approach. We automatically structure the memoir. Family and friends can amend it and say, once it's finalized, done, we're happy with it. And by that point, invite the wider circle of friends and family. They can contribute to the memoir using the memory map. It's a bit of a twist on the condolence wall, where we make it more engaging. The picture timeline, and last but not least, and that's the last feature I'll quickly show you, the family tree. Family tree, super important because it links our product to genealogy, and it provides a starting point for our customers to start their family's legacy and story, and of course, provides an incentive for long-term use.
Super interesting. And so a couple of questions on this, because you mentioned it's AI enabled. How automated is the process, especially for the first step? Super automated.
So what we do, it's really, and we've tested this in our POC quite a bit now. So we have a structured set of questions, particularly for the time before the ceremony. Because what do we want here? We want to help the funeral homes personalize the ceremonies, and we want to make it easier for the customers to have a personalized ceremony. There are shocking statistics out there that over 60% of people have not experienced a personalized funeral, just because there's a lack of touch points. They only have 1 hour in their conversation. So what we do here is we have a rather structured set of questions that people can go into more deeply. We also have different types of questions. So very often our AI asks you or gives you options of questions that you would want to ask. Here, again, we collect the main data that's important. Biographic data that can also be very helpful for the masters of ceremony. Of ceremony, here the context, that's usually the person who speaks at the funeral. Why is that so that we have this specific type of job now? Because people are not religious anymore. Back in the days, you used to have a priest who knew the person. Now personalization is becoming more difficult. So we collect the biographic data, we collect some pictures and some anecdotes. And what we also have in our current version is we can help people. So the people who come together, we can provide a biography from all their input, so creating one narrative, but we can also help them with a speech. So already pre-prepared for the master of ceremony, or for people who might want to talk at their loved one's funeral, but find it difficult to find the right words.
Yeah, I think so. There's multi, purposes and use cases in the product. How do people interact with the product? So is it a digital? Is it a platform you're creating? Is it an app? Is it a PDF that people eventually will have? What's the output here?
Okay, wait. I think your question is two-faced, Jimmy. Maybe first, yes, there are many use cases to this, because basically, whenever there are special moments in life, preserving them is important. We're currently completely focusing on the tribute use case, meaning someone is in the acute need of preserving memories and a story because they've lost someone. Here our approach is B2B2C through funeral homes. Second use case we see is, I want to preserve my own legacy. Me, that people who are just planning ahead, or people who are facing hardship or health concerns. And here we already partner with insurances, hospital, care homes. We're preparing this because we know that setting up contracts with insurances takes a long time. So we're really preparing this way ahead. And the third one that we have on our mind is celebration, weddings, anniversaries. But I think when it comes to what the product looks like and the final output, let me share with you our the Figma. I think it will be more interesting.
Great. I think we have to be mindful of our time here, but I would love to.
I'll just quickly show you the memoir then. I think that's the easiest way. So you already see we have here a bit we already prepared the other use case as well.
Yep.
But I'm telling someone else's story. I have the basic insights. And here it's a bit of this is what we want it to look like. So you start the conversation, you talk to our AI, it asks you questions, and you finish the conversation.
Yeah.
Then thereafter, you can also amend the answers that you put in. This is very important because sometimes, the AI understands perfectly well, but also some people like to write. Writing, it can be a very therapeutic thing as well. So we skip all of this for now. And this is what the memoir looks like. You see here again, we have a very short part in the beginning, just a bit of an introduction. And actually, this is my co-founder's uncle that I mentioned in the beginning. Wow. This is me. And here is the remembrance wall. I have to admit, we renamed it now. It's now called Memory Map because we want to make it even more encompassing and have big plans for it to also keep people engaged, such as asking seasonal questions, giving them topics that we can also already deduct from the data that we gather in the beginning and really get people to engage with it.
Yeah.
You have a bit more of a deep dive into the story of the person with a biography that's also really dedicated to certain stages of the life. So you see Manu passed away too early, so we only have childhood and adulthood. We have a filtering mechanism that we call passions. So it's also something that we gather in the beginning. And then last but not least, we have the picture timeline.
Yeah.
And a little section for voice anecdotes. Because what we've heard a lot is people, they start to answer questions and then they realize, oh, I actually told a really nice story there. So we want to give them the opportunity to also include that. And here you see the family tree. So long answer to your short question. It's an online memoir.
Yeah.
If people decide they don't want to use it anymore, or the lifetime of the product ends, we can send them a simple PDF download.
Yeah, makes sense. And so let's look at pricing here and sort of what your expectations are in terms of how long people will use this, right? So as investors, we always like to look at the lifetime value, right? And so I'm very curious to kind of understand what the unit economics look like for a user, starting with price.
So first of all, I have to say, even with entrepreneur friends of mine who are in Series A and B, they still grow gray hair around pricing. And I see you laughing there, Jimmy, so I guess it's a topic that all entrepreneurs.
Definitely.
Constant, it's evolving. how did we get to our 299 and one-off payment? I know VCs don't like to hear that we're doing a one-off, but where does that come from? First of all, it comes from our interaction with the final customers, the user interviews that we had. And of course, you have to take it with a pinch of salt if they say, oh yeah, I can imagine paying 300 for this. So second step is we went to the funeral homes and asked them, what do you think would be a realistic price range? And looking at these 299, what we particularly looked at is what other products do people get at the funeral home for 299 euros?
Yeah.
And here our competition is one ring of flowers. I'm not talking about the whole decoration, just one memorial ring. A bit of a better urn, but we're not talking the ones that you really want to put into your home. Funerals are very expensive. Or a very tiny memorial bracelet. So here, first of all, for our product, we bring the customer the most value in comparison to the other products that they're offered, and we have the highest margin for the funeral home.
Yeah.
Because here, for the 299 that we're envisioning, 30% are commission to our funeral home partners. And, well, 20% VAT, and then we calculate something around 20 euros for server costs. But that's already calculated for a longer period of time. So what we're looking at the moment is offering to keep the memoir online for a period of 10 to 20 years. We're still figuring this out as we go. And then to switch to a subscription in order to keep it online. As I said, we're working on this continuously, and our pilot that we're going to conduct end of the year will be incredibly insightful for us because we'll have first paying customers and can get feedback.
Yeah. Let's park the pricing a bit for now, given that we don't have much time left. And I also think, your phase of the business currently just forces you to emphasize on product, right? And just nailing the product. And then you can test what the right pricing for that is. I think the one thing I will say is, indeed, if this has so much value to family members, there could be maybe an idea around monetizing, per like a family plan where you have X amount of members, and if you want to grow that X amount of members, you pay more. Or there's like tiered approaches with how many features you get, etc. So I think that's something you could definitely think of.
Thank you, Jimmy, for speaking my mind, because there's so many different approaches to this. The number of contributors, the number of family members, freemium versions, combining it with the legacy product. There's endless opportunities, and we see ourselves as scientists at this point that test what works and try to find the best solution.
Great. In like 1 or 2 minutes, the go-to-market. So you have the funeral homes, you have the individuals. Again, I think you're currently focused on the product, and you already have a couple of great partners with whom you can distribute the product. But on the consumer side of things, do you plan to do this through sort of social advertisement, paid performance, or what is your idea on how you want to?
Yes, exactly. I mean, what you see also in our branding, and I hope it gets through. If not, please give me the feedback. We're branded completely on preserving life stories, preserving precious memories. Yep. The grief part, yes, we mention it with our B2B partners, so particularly with the funeral homes, because this is an important part for them, and processing grief is scientifically proven easier when you process your memories. But when it comes to this, as you say, the consumer part and the talking directly to them, which will also particularly be important for the legacy case, yes, we see social media, paid advertisement, that regard. And here, I have to say, the topic that we have at hand really gives a lot.
Yep.
It's family, it's nice moments, it's preserving what you love and what you love around people. So yes, we already have a lot of strategies in mind. And Adam, I have to say, is here the absolutely creative part, who I think already on his phone has a stock up of the memes and Instagram posts he liked the most and has boundless creativity.
Great. Fantastic. And I assume there's plenty of network effect here, within families, which could be great. Okay, cool. So lastly, the round, where are you with it? And I saw you extended the round to 1 million. What's your plan? What's the timeline? And what are you looking for?
We extended it to 1 million.
Okay.
I have to say, I'm very conservative. I have this finance and consulting background, so I'm always conservative in my assumptions. And we, first-time founders, we started our fundraising in the midst of the summer. who does that? First-time founders do. And we're lucky enough to very fast find our lead. Great investor, Fund F, together with Angel Invest from Berlin.
Yep.
They told us, Patricia, please extend, make it bigger, do it for $1 million so that you have 2-year run rate. So yes, we were, let's say, I was already done at my target, but now we're back to half.
Yeah.
It's great though, because we can have more run rate, and also what we want to do is bring more exciting partners to the table with us that can support us and believe in the vision.
Fantastic. I think we have to end it here. I hope we're not over time. But thank you so much, Patricia, and I look forward to seeing you soon.